Hey everyone, I'm on my way to make a YouTube video and I'm watching the road and not the camera, and probably not the safest, but I'm being real quick and I'm just going like 15 miles an hour. But on my way to go make the video, I'm also on my way to deliver some honey. I got my Germ-X there, and I washed my hands really well beforehand. Trying to do a safe delivery for a few people that needed some honey, and so I am currently the honey wagon, or the honey delivery, whatever. Then I'm headed up to the woods. I'm in the kitchen, and I am editing the video for tonight. It's 11 o'clock, and after I've got all the clips put together and getting ready to save it as one video, I noticed that it's 59 minutes long. That's really long. So, surprise, we got another 2-part video. So you get the first part tonight, the next part tomorrow night. I didn't know what I was doing for a video tomorrow anyways. So, it's going to just be like we were on the hunt. I ended the one night with finishing the blood trail and saying we're going to leave him overnight. And then the next day I went back up to finish it up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do up to when I left for the night. You'll get to see, well, you'll see what you see. And then tomorrow you get to see the rest of the blood trail video and pictures of where the deer was and all that. Before we go out up on the hill, I'm going to take my bow out. I'm going to take a few shots. Every time I come up here, before I go up on the hill, I take a few shots with my bow just to feel comfortable, be confident, and just in case something happened. A couple of years ago, I took a shot before I went up on the hill to hunt, and my arrow went like 6 feet above the target. I had switched to a QAD drop-away rest, which is what I'm hunting with now. I've usually used a whisker biscuit, but I switched to a QAD and just to try it out when I got a different bow. And I do like it, but for some reason it reset and it wasn't dropping down when it should. And so when I arrow went forward, it hit that thing and popped it right up in the air, and it shot way up into the hill behind the target. I found the arrow, but I was like, man, that wasn't good. So I went and worked on the bow and got it to working again before I came up. So that's why I usually take a few shots just to make sure everything's on. Also, it gives me an idea of the ranges distance-wise. But another thing that I do, I try to remember every time I go to the woods, is I bring my rangefinder. And I have a little hook on here, and I have this on my jacket. Every outfit that I have, my camo jackets or whatever, depending on the weather, I've put these little, like a D-ring or whatever. This one's from like a crappy little pouch that I had, but this is pretty good. So I'll just take this and if I can do it one-handed, try and fight in it. We're getting there. There we go. Clip it on there like that, and then let me see if I can do this with the other hand. If I see something, I'll just pull this up like so and look through it. But it retracts if you need it to and goes back in. But most of the time it doesn't need to. I could probably just hook that straight to a piece of string that goes to there for that length, because that's pretty much perfect for me to come up to my eye, look through, get my range, and bring it back down. And that would alleviate some of that noise. But sometimes I'll pull it down and actually hook it, set it into my pocket if it's like raining or if it's snowing or something. I will try to do that, so that way it stays out of the weather. But I like this because it has I think it's like a 3x zoom on it. So that way it's kind of like using binoculars. I can pull this up one eye and see how far it is for one, and see what the thing is that I'm seeing. All right. It's raining a little bit, but we're going to get out there, take a few shots at this target, and then we're going to head up on the trip. So this is a bow I picked up a couple years ago. on clearance at Cabela's. It's diamond, and it's a nice bow. I really enjoy shooting it. We'll take a couple shots. We're gonna fight the traffic. Take a few shots. This is what I usually do every time I go up the hill. Like I said, it's been months since I've shot, so hopefully I hit the target. We're gonna fight the road noise here. That guy just made it on YouTube. Feels good to shoot the bow again. That one went right through. Let's see if we can get these things out. Oh, hands are slippery. I think that's one's going to stay there for now. So that's one of my ways to let my buddy know I'm up in the woods. This is a 3D target that 3 of us went in on together ages ago, and if he sees arrows in there, he knows that I'm up there. Well, probably my vehicle sitting in his driveway is the first clue. But that lets him know I'm on target and I'm on the hill. Let's all go up the hill and check this place out. So this is how this hunt went down. It was a Friday afternoon, or like about maybe 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and I was going up onto some private land that I have permission for, and it's up behind my buddy's house, and I was going up there to scout because I had the next day off. So I brought everything because it was deer season and there's no sense in being in the woods without your equipment, because that's the time when you know you're gonna see a deer and be frustrated. So I was going up to scout, maybe build a blind for the next morning. I was gonna be up in the morning before sunup, sitting wherever the spot was that I was gonna locate. I was going up to look for rubs, scrapes, trails, or a visual. Give me an idea where it's set. So I got up there and started finding a sign, and that's what we're gonna go check out. Like I said, it was Friday. I was planning on hunting Saturday and just putting a little bit of time in the woods. Let's go on this walk. So I'm at the first spot that I stopped. I showed you a rub back there. I don't know if you saw it. I held it on there for a little while. Hopefully you caught it. There's an old logging road that cuts through here, and it goes across the gully over here, and there's actually a road that cuts up over across the side there. And deer are going to go, hopefully most of the time, to the easiest route. They're not going to want to jump over trees and climb through nasty stuff. And this is a natural pathway here. Let's see if you can see. I'm standing right on it right now, but there's a pretty good trail coming right across here right now. I mean, it's really wet here, so that's why you notice it, but they just use this to make their way across. And there was a scrape right here on the ground. Trying to find it. Looks like it got covered up with leaves, but I think it was actually right there. I don't know if you can see it. So I saw that rub, then I saw the scrape. And I know that they sometimes will come across this bank over here, stay on the one side. I mean, they frequent different areas, but I kind of know if they're rubbing and scraping here, I like to stay on this side, especially then the wind. The other thing was the wind was blowing across this way. And and the property line is just on the other side of these pine trees, but there's a lot more property on that side. So I was trying to stay on this border. The wind was coming this way, and that way I wasn't going to spook the stuff in the center if they were going to come this direction. So I went from here, and this is almost just like the other day. I said I was about 800 yards or so off the main road. That's about how far I am up in this location too. So I went from here figuring, okay, we got some sign here. I wanted to get up to the top to check out a field edge up there and see what was going on. And I was on a scouting mission. So scouting mission with my bow. And so let's see where I went next. This is where I stopped next. Check this rub out. It's crazy. They shredded this tree. Like, shredded it. There's a couple of people on YouTube that have a thing, videos on horizontal rubs. And this is as close to a horizontal rub in nature that I found. This tree is just about horizontal. And these bucks, they love to work that thing. I don't know what the difference is about them, but they really worked the heck out of that. And there's a trail that comes right past here. And I looked around a little bit more, and there's another rub down here. Not too far away on a little beech tree. Right there. And I found this treetop over here. Well, a couple treetops. And I built later on in the season, I built a blind here. All these beech branches, they have the leaves on them. They can camo yourself up pretty good. But I sat right inside this area and had an opening to that trail and the rubs just in case a buck was going to come through. But on the day I shot my buck, I was still, what was I doing? I was scouting. I wasn't just hunting. I wanted to cover some ground, find some more area. This was some really good sign here. And so I liked what I was seeing. Let's see if you can see this. This is the part of the trail. It's a pretty good track there. They're coming both directions. I don't know if you saw that. Right here. I think it's just about going in there. Bunch of tracks. I mean, where it's muddy, it's easier to see it, but that trail cuts right straight, right up through there between those trees. So I was walking up this way, And after I was looking at that sign, and I came across here, I was looking up, as far up as the trees I could look. And I got right about here, and I stopped, and like, I thought I saw something. As a hunter, you look for certain things. A lot of times, it's a horizontal, anything horizontal. There's not a lot of things that are horizontal in the woods. I mean, unless it's a downed tree. So you see that, and you think, man, what's that? And you think, a lot of times it was the back of a deer that you're seeing. But this time, I saw something just pitch black and some white near it. There was no snow on the ground. And that's just not a common thing. So I was like here, and I kind of just did a step back like this and looked up through the trees. And there's a buck staring right at me. That black was a nose. And he's looking right at me about, I don't know, 100 yards or so up through. And he takes off. And I'm like, oh crap, I blew that one. So I walked my way up there to see what he was doing up there. So let's go for a hike. When I got up here, I was looking around trying to figure out where he was, and I came over and I just kind of kicked those leaves up, but there was a scrape right there, and that's what his scrape looked like. He had it kicked all up, and he was right underneath this beech tree limb, so he was probably going to make a licking branch, but he hadn't really finished the scrape yet. And there was a pretty good little trail that came through here, and where they would work their way across the gully here. So I thought, man, if he's making that scrape and I kicked him out of here, maybe A, he'll come and tend to the scrape again tomorrow. B, he didn't really know what I was. He didn't wind me, didn't really anything. He just thought something wasn't right. And when he jogged off, he didn't go hard. So I thought, well, maybe you come back tonight. I don't know. But I looked around. I kind of scanned the area. There's some different tops down over there. There's different tops down, but there's a tree right there, about 20 yards or so. Thought, man, it's kind of close, but it might work. So I came over here and I went to work on this. There's, as you can see, there's a bunch of down branches and different things that you can use, but most of the leaves were off of the trees, and I didn't want to make a whole lot of noise. Like I said, he just kind of ran off a little bit, but not much. So what I did is I came up, I laid all my stuff down over here, and I got to work. So I'll show you what was up. A couple of things I always bring to the woods with me. I mean, the rangefinder was the first thing, but a couple of the other things, when I'm building a blind or when I'm scouting, thinking I might have to build something. I build a lot of ground blinds up here because this property owner doesn't allow stands. So I've got a few different tricks up my sleeve, not tricks, but things that I do that are helpful when building ground blinds. Obviously, any kind of natural camouflage will help, but one of the things I bring is a set of a little bit of pruners. I have a bigger set for when I'm building blinds before season, but these ones will fit in my pack, so I bring those. I also have one of these foldable saws. I'm going to try to open this with one hand, but I'm sure you all know what a foldable saw is. Well, let's see. Try two hands. There we go. There we go. Works pretty good. So that goes in my pack. And then these. These are, man, look at, Fiskars is getting a free advertisement. So I have these, they lock closed, and they work really well. And these come with me when I'm turkey hunting, when I'm deer hunting, and that's pretty much all the hunting I do. I guess I squirrel hunt and some other things, but maybe when I'm duck hunting. I haven't done that in a while, but I'll go and find trees that still have leaves on them, just like you see these beech trees still have some leaves on them. And I'll find some lower branches, like I nipped this one off, you can see right there. Oh, let me see if you can see it. There we go. I cut that one off. I don't cut the whole branch off, I let it keep growing. It'll still pop these branches off and it didn't really harm the tree. And so I'll go around. So I went around and got me an armful of branches. And I came back to this spot here. See, it had a crotch, a big one up through here, up this way. And I had this one dead branch, this big log laying there. So I found this log, put a cross brace on it. I would have liked it to be up higher, but I didn't have any way to do that at the time. So before I trimmed all these branches off, first I found my area. Find something that has like a V in it already, so you've already got a start to your blind, or a couple of trees that you can build stuff up on. And then the next thing I usually do is I'll come in and I'll kick all the leaves. Every leaf off the ground, I'll kick it right up out of the way. And if you don't know the reason is I can first, that sounds like a deer looking for acorns or a turkey looking for acorns, so it doesn't really bother the deer. It actually can maybe attract them. They wonder, like, what's going on over there? The other reason is I can move around in this now with this fresh just dirt underneath me. I usually will hunt, either I'll be knelt down. A lot of times I'm shooting from my knees when I'm ground hunting, because that way I don't have to build something up so high, and I didn't have a whole lot of time. So after that, I went and cut all my branches. I set all my stuff in here. After I got the leaves out of the way, I set everything inside here so it was ready in here, just to make sure everything fit. And I actually got down here with my bow and kind of drew. And I see I'm hitting my elbow on this back here, so I had to get like right up tight into here. If I rework this blind, I'd want it to be a little bit bigger. Shooting that way is fine. Shooting this way, not so much. Shooting this way, you're all right. The wind's blowing this way right now, just like it was that day. And so you're probably not going to get a shot this direction because your wind's going to be going right towards the deer. So I got this all cleaned out, got the opening, and I was figuring that if, you know, the next day the deer was coming this way to make that scrape, I could get a shot down there or up this direction. Got that all cleaned out, and then I took my branches after I cut them, and I just took them, and I cut them at an angle, and I just took them and shoved them in the ground like so. And I was building it up around both sides, trying to get it to where something coming by couldn't see me. And then I took myself and I sat right up into this corner, right on the ground. It's a little wet right now, and I don't want to get wet, so we're not going to simulate that in this hunting simulation. So I had my gear all in here, right? I'm working, I'm shoving branches in, and then I saw movement. So I'm pushing branches into the ground, and you can see across the gully there, and all of a sudden, like down over here through the branches, I just caught a little movement. I'm like, man, what the heck was that? And I look, and then all of a sudden I see a buck coming right across down here. So that buck, pretty positive it was the same one, he ran across the gully here, up and over, circled down, and came down across, and came back around to see what the heck that thing was that he thought he saw. He didn't know what was going on, and so he was coming in to investigate. So he came across, and then he slowly started walking up this close to the path I walked, and he got to well, I don't know if you can see the pine tree that's up right over through here. There's the stumps here. He walked behind those stumps and he got over to that pine tree. And I got the range finder out and ranged him. I think that tree is like, let's see here, 40 yards, right? And then he worked from that tree slowly, every once in a while, taking a couple steps, kicking up leaves, eating, moving around, and he got to, okay, you see this this beech tree that has a, I don't know if you can see the blue X on it, but behind it, he was in between those, and he was angling a little bit, quartering to, almost broadside, but a little bit quartering to. And so I had to get as tight up to this tree in the front, way up here with my bow, and draw. And then I kind of had to get up and kind of move over a little bit and take the shot. And I released, and he flinched a little bit. He kind of like his head by my thumb, he kind of moved this way. And I was like, crap, I should have waited. I was frustrated. And he took off. He was, like I said, he was right in this vicinity, and he takes off down the bank, runs, and down around. And I've got this, I don't know if you're a bow hunter, every time you release the arrow, almost every time, you feel pretty confident, but there's a question. Like, was it a good shot? I hope I hit him good. I didn't want to just wound him. I don't want him to just go off and die. There's a lot of, I guess, responsibility every time you pull a trigger. And so I sat down, adrenaline's pumping, and I called Joy and said, hey, I just shot one. Well, actually, I'll put the picture on here. I think I have it. I went down, saw where he was, found hair, went down a little bit more, and there was blood, all kinds of blood. And I'm like super excited, like, okay, we got a great shot. And then I started searching for my arrow. That's usually one of the first things you want to do, is look for that arrow and see what kind of sign it has. So I went down and searched everywhere. I'll show you where I was, and then we'll go from there. Hope you're liking the story so far. So I got over here on the road, and this stuff over here was a bunch of taller, like fern stuff, right? I don't know if you can see a little fern action going on. Oh, here they are growing up, right? Little ferns popping out. Oh, right there. So this was all ferns, and this is where he was standing. And I saw a couple of specks of blood on the ferns. So I've searched all through the ferns looking for my arrow. Then I came over here where all the treetops and down branches, searching everywhere. I searched for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half hour, and I cannot find that stupid arrow. I've got Luminox on there that light up green. You probably saw that on the target. And bright white arrows and red and white fletchings that you don't see those colors in the woods, you know. And you got to be able to find your arrow. And I search and search and search. I go back to the blind, look where he was, come down, see the tracks where he was. I couldn't find it anywhere. And a lot of times if you get a pass through, you'll hear it hit, pow. And then you hear ping, ping, ping later, you know, where it hits branches. I never heard that. So, but I didn't see it sticking out of his side or anything when he took off either. So I walked down here a ways. And I came down through and following his tracks, and he busted down through here, and that's when I saw all the blood, and I'm like, yes, he's hit good. You know, I had little doubt, if any, that he was not gonna suffer long, and it was gonna, that shot was true, and it was gonna dispatch him quickly. And I came down here to where this road cuts across, and he cut just as I figured, cut right across the easy path and just went right straight down through. So this is where I waited another half hour or so and decided it was a good shot. It's time to start trailing. And so that's what we did. Let's check it out. When I started tracking, I decided it was time. Better get out the toilet paper. Not for that reason. One of the things that I do now, I didn't always do it, and I've gotten myself in trouble a couple times, where I start tracking and trailing a blood trail, and maybe you step on some blood or you move away and you kick up the leaves, and you know, it starts to get you off track figuring out where the deer was going, what maybe you did to the leaves, because you're looking for blood, but you're also looking for its footprints. You're looking for leaves kicked up that look freshly kicked up. There's a lot of different signs that you can look for, because you're not always going to have blood. Especially, you know, the more you hunt, there's going to be times when the shot wasn't perfect. And so now I have toilet paper rolled up for normal reasons, and then I have the toilet paper is there in case I want it for tracking. And every, I don't know, 10, 15 yards, depending on how many squares you have available to you, about eye level, put it up in a branch and keep moving. Put another one up in the branch. Here comes the rain. This is another reason. If it was to rain, you have the toilet paper on the branches so that if the blood that you did find washed away, if you're coming up the next day, you can have a visual as to what direction the deer was heading. A lot of times they'll continue that way as long as you don't bump them up. The other reason is, as you're trailing, you can look back to where you went, or where you came from, and you can see kind of the direction it should go, and that'll help you out sometimes. Another reason is, if by chance you can't find him or her, depending on if you were shooting a buck or a doe, and in New York State they have a group called Deer Search, and they're a volunteer organization, and you can call them, and if they have anybody available, they can sometimes come out with their dog. A lot of times they use dachshunds, but sometimes they use bloodhounds. There's actually a YouTube channel, I think it's called Cali Chronicles, and this guy is a deer search guy. He's got his bloodhound dog that he takes her out to go find people's deer. It's pretty cool. So anyway, I put the toilet paper up to give me an idea of where I came from, where it might be going, and in case it rains, if you got to come back the next day, all these different reasons. So I simulated it. Don't worry, I only brought 4 squares. I know we're in a shortage. I don't want to be wasteful. So I brought 4 squares. I got permission from Joy. She said it's going to come out of my my amount that I get for the week. And little does she know, I've got a roll for myself stashed somewhere else. That's not true. All right, turn the camera around and we can watch where I walked. Not sure if you could follow that toilet paper in the hyperlapse mode, but it definitely helps. And you might have, if you're a hunter, you might have seen people do this with the plastic tape. I don't like using that because it's not biodegradable. It'll stay there for a long time. Toilet paper will fall off, it'll biodegrade, and it's a lot better. And it's nice and bright and white, and it serves 2 purposes. You can use it for other things, or you can mark the trail. So he came across the road here, and there's a gully over here. Actually, you see there's an old scrape right there, and he came right down through. I don't know if this is... Anyways, came around through here, and there's a gully over on this side, and I thought he was going to cut across the gully and go down in the deep, but he didn't. He turned and he went downhill. That made me feel pretty good. I thought, okay, we're heading in the right direction. First, we're going downhill, getting closer to the truck. Second, hurt deer don't usually like to go uphill. And he took me right past this other rub here, and I thought, okay, maybe this is his area. And there's a little trail that goes right down through. And that's the gully I was talking about, just a little draw that comes all the way from the top all the way down through. But he did not want to cross that. which made me feel like, okay, he's hurting. He's not going to want to go down and go back up. He circled down around. And so he went down. He cut back across the road and was headed downhill. And I trailed him for a while, but the blood was getting pretty thin. I didn't want to keep pushing him. He never stopped from what I could tell. It was running tracks the whole time I was on him. And so he never stopped, he never bedded. But he cut across. I kept on putting the toilet paper up, and I finally got to a spot, and I said, you know what? I'm backing out of here. I don't want to spook him. So I circled back around the way I came, back up to the top, and went down the hill for the night. To be continued. Please stay tuned tomorrow for the next episode. Beep. Beep. No, I'm not done. No, I'm not done. I just hit the record button. To be continued. Please log on tomorrow to see what happened with the rest of the... Shut up in there.